Greetings, fellow dungeon delvers, and welcome to Dorans and Dragons. My name is Justin, and I'm going to be your guide to bringing your favorite League of Legends champions to life in Dungeons and Dragons. Today we're building Garen, the Might of Demacia. Garen Crownguard, also known as Commander Garen of the Dauntless Vanguard, is one of King Jarvan IV's closest friends and protectors. Garen is the perfect exemplar of Demacian ideals, from his stalwart commitment to his family and city to his prowess on the battlefield. His sister Lux's identity as a mage has put pressure on his belief in those ideals, however, as through her he sees the potential folly of persecution on such a large scale. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to take a minute and thank our awesome patrons over on Patreon who support us every month. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on and me spinning to winning. If you like our videos and want to support the channel, come join us over on Patreon today for just $1 to get access to our awesome Discord community where we talk League and D&D all day long. Alright, now let's get into it. Here's a quick preview of the build. For race, we're going with Variant Human. Per usual, our stats are going to be determined using the standard array. For our stat priorities, we're going to max strength and dump intelligence. We do have a multi-class requirement of 13 in Dexterity and Wisdom. Our leveling path is going to be levels 1 through 3 in Cleric, 12 levels in Ranger, and then we'll finish the build as a Cleric. Garen's passive, Perseverance, is going to be Aura of Vitality. His Q, Decisive Strike, will mainly come from Zephyr Strike, but Great Weapon Master, Freedom of Movement, and Divine Strike will help. Our W, Courage, comes in the form of Shield of Faith and Steel Will. His E, Judgment, will come from Whirlwind Attack. And finally, we get our ultimate Demacian Justice from Spiritual Weapon. For race, we're going with Variant Human. Variant Humans get a +1 to 2 ability scores. We'll take Dexterity and Strength. On top of that, we'll pick up a skill proficiency. We're going with Deception, so we can lie to ourselves and the rest of the Demacians about Lux's magic. Finally, we get our free feat to choose for choosing this race. Great Weapon Master is going to give us an early version of our Q by letting us take a -5 to our attack roll and letting us add 10 flat damage to the attack. Also, if we land a crit or kill a creature, we can use our bonus action to make another attack. So basically build Infinity Edge and gain a free extra attack for your bonus action every round. For background, we could have gone with Noble or Soldier here, but Soldier feels like the more appropriate representation of Garen. We'll get skill proficiencies with Athletics and Intimidation, and the Military Rank feature. In Demacia, and especially to its military units, you'll be afforded an insane amount of respect and deference. You can use that to get equipment or rest among their camps. For stats, we're going for the balance Garen somehow maintains while spinning like a Beyblade using the standard array. Roll if you want to, but keep at least a 13 in Dexterity and Wisdom for multi-classing purposes. For once, we're not using our multi-classing stat as our primary stat. That honor belongs to our strength, which is appropriate because look at this man. Then we're going with our constitution because Garen is a beefy boy, and we need to get him some meat on those bones. We'll grab wisdom after that, mainly for multi-classing though, because if he was really wise, he'd cast out this mage seeker garbage. Then we'll do dexterity because Garen is quick on the battlefield despite his heavy armor. Charisma is going to be average, unfortunately, and will dump intelligence, which is appropriate considering his simplicity as a character and champion. For equipment, we need to get our Judgment Broadsword with a Greatsword, and we'll also get our Demacian armor with a set of Chainmail. You'll want to upgrade to plate armor as soon as possible, but this will do until then. We'll kick off the class portion of the build with some levels in Cleric. Clerics have a D8 hit die and give us proficiency with History and Religion. Unfortunately, Clerics don't start with heavy armor or martial weapon proficiency though, so how are we going to use our weapon and armor? Well, thankfully, Clerics choose their Divine Domain at this level, and we'll go with the War Domain. This will give us bonus proficiencies with heavy armor and our Greatsword. On top of that, we'll get the War Priest feature, letting us use our bonus actions to make an extra attack when we take the attack action on our turn. You can only use it based on your Wisdom mod, and the uses recharge on a long rest. The final feature we get at this level is our spellcasting. We'll pick up the shield portion of our W with Shield of Faith, which is going to bump our AC by 2 for the duration. Second level clerics gain their Channel Divinity ability. Channel Divinity is a system that allows you to call upon the source of your power for dramatic effect. Every cleric gets the Turn Undead Channel Divinity option, and it's not really relevant to Garen, so we'll skip that and discuss our domain-specific option, which is Guided Strike. This lets you add a flat +10 to your attack roll. Now the cool thing is, you can choose to apply it after you roll, as long as you get it in before your DM says whether the attack hits or misses. Save this for when you need that epic Great Weapon Master damage, since this will not only offset that penalty, but still give you +5 on top. Level 3 clerics learn 2nd level spells. We'll pick up our Demacia Justice with Spiritual Weapon. As a bonus action, we'll create our giant floating sword and make a spell attack with it, dealing 1d8 plus our Wisdom mod and damage. For the next minute, we can continue to use our bonus action to make the same attack. Alrighty, now that we got our R and some of our W, let's take a bunch of levels in Ranger to get our E. Rangers have a D10 hit die and give us proficiency in the survival skill. Thanks to Tasha's, we have Deft Explorer and Favored Foe, which replace the far inferior Natural Explorer and Favored Enemy features. Deft Explorer gives us a few features across the length of the build. At first level, Canny is going to give us double our proficiency bonus with Athletics, which will help our general smashing and throwing and jumping. Then at 6th level, Roving is going to bump our walking speed by 5, and give us a climbing and swimming speed equal to our walking speed. Finally at 10th level, Tireless is going to let us use an action to give ourselves a temporary hit point buffer of 1d8 plus our Wisdom mod. It has charges based on your proficiency bonus and recharges on a long rest. Favored Foe is a bit simpler, but also has charges based on your proficiency bonus that recharge on a long rest. Whenever you hit a creature with an attack, you can mark that creature for a minute. For that minute, each time you hit that creature, you deal an extra 1d4 damage. At 6th level, this extra damage die bumps up to a d6 instead. 2nd level Rangers choose their fighting style and learn 1st level spells. Unfortunately, Rangers do not have the option for Great Weapon fighting, so we'll have to settle for defense instead. Defense is going to give us a +1 to our AC as long as we're wearing our armor, which we almost always will be. Garen looks like the kind of guy who only takes off his armor when Katarina is around, if you know what I mean. We'll go ahead and get our Q here as well with the Zephyr Strike spell. As a bonus action, you start to move rapidly, ignoring opportunity attacks and winding yourself up for one attack, giving you advantage on it and an extra 1d8 force damage when you hit it. Choosing to make that attack increases your movement speed by 30 feet until the end of that turn. Level 3 Rangers choose their Ranger archetype. We're going to aim for our Spin to Win with the Hunter subclass. At first, we just get the Hunter's Prey feature, which is a set of options to modify our attacks. We'll go with Horde Breaker, which synergizes really well with our E and can be used anytime you're making regular attacks, and there happens to be an extra enemy nearby. Once per turn, when you make a weapon attack, you can make another attack on a creature as long as they're within 5 feet of your target and within range of your weapon. 4th level Rangers get the first ability score improvement of the build. As always, we'll lay out all of your options here so you can pick and choose along the way. At Ranger 4, we'll bump our strength score by 2 points. Then max it at Ranger 8 with another 2 points. At Ranger 12, we'll start increasing our Constitution 2 points for more health and easier concentration checks. At Cleric 4, we'll bump our Constitution by another 2 points. And finally at Cleric 8, we'll take the Tough Feat, giving us 2 hit points per level for some added beefiness. Level 5 Rangers gain extra attack, which will let you make 2 swings of justice per attack action instead of 1. Level 7 Hunters learn defensive tactics, which is yet another series of choices, this time aimed at strengthening your defenses. We'll go with Steel Will for the tenacity boost on our W. Steel Will is going to give us advantage on saving throws against being frightened, so Fiddlesticks can eat his heart out. 8th level Rangers gain Land Stride, letting us pass through non-magical difficult terrain with no movement cost penalty. We can also move through non-magical plants and hazards without taking damage. And finally, if there are magical plant hazards, we have advantage on our saves against them. Level 11 Hunters gain their multi-attack feature. Here it is, everyone, the real reason we went down this path, for the glorious Whirlwind attack option, letting us achieve our true Beyblade dreams. As an action, you can make a melee attack against any number of creatures within 5 feet of you, with each having a separate attack roll. Meaning, Great Weapon Master on each of them and Horde Breaker on one of them, you are going to be an AoE cleaving god. And we're back over to Cleric for the last few levels of the build. Level 5 Clerics learn 3rd level spells. Thanks to Tasha's, Clerics can learn the Aura of Vitality spell, which will give Garen the ability to use your bonus action to heal himself for 2d6 hit points. He can also technically heal any creature within a 30-foot radius, but I think to replicate his passive more accurately it should probably only be you. Level 7 Clerics learn 4th level spells. We'll grab the Slow Cleanse from our queue with Freedom of Movement, which is a spell that lasts for an hour and makes our speed unable to be reduced by difficult terrain, spells, or other magical effects, and we can't be paralyzed or restrained. And finally, 8th level Clerics gain the Divine Strike feature, letting us add even more oomph to our queue. Once per turn, when you hit with a weapon attack, you can add an extra 1d8 damage on top. We have so many nice little features that add extra damage to our attacks at this point that your DM is probably going to have a hard time. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. You are going to be able to bring Demacia and Justice to all of your enemies, with your multiple greatsword attacks each applying great weapon master damage. We'll do that by spinning like an Inception top. On top of that, with over 200 hit points, and the potential for quite a high AC depending on your armor, you'll easily be the tank of your party and will be able to tank quite a bit of damage. Now the bad. We have a lot of concentration spells in this build, so unfortunately you're not going to be able to have them all running at once. On top of that, our ult doesn't quite have that giant sword falling from the sky and decimating our foes vibe, but I'm happy with what we got. So what'd you think? I've included a link to our build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books used in this build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards and you get access to our great Discord community. We plan on churning out one League Champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.